in the beginning of the next chapter, that chapter 14. Chapter 14 is called the three modes of material nature. That something is going on here. Okay. Let's see. To chapter 14. Three modes of material nature. First 9 verses. So Krishna described the conditioned soul, how it's distinct from material nature in the previous chapter. At the same time, it's entangled. It's trapped within this chakra. So chapter 14 will tell us in detail how the living entity is very limited and controlled by this field, material field, with powerful shackles of material nature. And there are 3 of these shackles: that goodness, passion, and ignorance. But the good news is, at the end of this chapter, Krishna will explain us how we can transcend these modes of nature, how we can get freedom from these modes. So Krishna explains here the relationship between the living entity and material nature, and the conditioned living entities and himself. He will tell us how he impregnates material nature and injects the living entities. So the living entity connects with this material nature because its consciousness becomes conditioned by these modes. So the mode of goodness conditions one to happiness, passion to fruitive activities, and ignorance to madness. So now we will look at the first verse. First one. Bhagavana vacha parambuya pavakshami jnanam jnanam uttamam yat sarve param siddhim mito gata. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, again, I shall declare to you this supreme wisdom, the best of all knowledge, knowing which all the sages have attained the supreme perfection. So, Srila Prabhupada explains the difference between the process of philosophical speculation and mental speculation. Through the process of philosophical speculation, one will come to an understanding of devotional service. So what's the difference? We will go into that. In this chapter, the Supreme Personality explains what those modes are, how they act, how they bind, how they give liberation. Again, how they bind and how they give liberation. It is expected that one understands the 14th chapter will attain perfection. Especially at the end, the solution is given. Mamsyo vyabhacharana bhaktiruna sevate sakudan samachitchidam brahma bhuya kalpate. One transcends this modes by unalloyed devotional service, Krishna will say. And then one can attain the supreme Brahman, spiritual world. That, so, what is philosophical speculation? Mental speculation is the ascending process, trying to understand everything by its own conclusions and reasoning, but that is mental speculation. By our material brain, we cannot understand the absolute truth. Not possible. It's not possible. But philosophical speculation is different. Philosophical speculation is based on Guru Sadhu Sastri. That is based on the scriptures and tries to prove how the scriptures are true. It's different. That's how I would explain it, but let's now hear how Srila Prabhupada explains the difference between mental and spiritual, mental and philosophical speculation. That I think that's 14:1. Yeah. Can someone read this quote? 14:1.
I can read, Maharaj.
Please, Tulsi.
As for the difference between mental speculation and philosophical speculation, we take it that everything is known by the psychological action of the mind, so that philosophical speculation is the same as mental speculation, if it is merely the random of haphazard activity of the brain to understand everything and form theories. If it is ifs and maybes. But if philosophical speculation is directed by Shastra and Guru, and if the goal of such philosophical attempts is to achieve Vishnu, then philosophical speculation is not mental speculation. For example, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that I am the taste of the water. Philosophical speculation in the accepted sense means to try to understand under the direction of Shastra and Guru just how Krishna is the taste of water. The points made in the Bhagavad Gita, though simple and complete, can be understood from unlimited angles of vision. So our philosophy is not the same as dry mental speculation. The proper function of the brain or philosophical activity is to understand everything from Krishna's perspective or point of view. So there is no limit to that understanding because Krishna is unlimited. And even though it can be said that the devotee who knows Krishna knows everything, 15th chapter, still the philosophical process never stops and the devotee continues to increase his knowledge even though he knows everything. Try to understand this point. It is a very good question.
Yeah, so that explains clearly the difference that, so let's see, chapter 14, that, so the model of material nature, how they act, bind, or give liberation. That's what we will discuss in this chapter. And at the end, how it can be transcended. When we understand this knowledge by philosophical speculation, we'll come to the understanding of devotional service. Because devotional service is the only way to transcend it. That, so, text 2. Idam hyanam upasritya mama sadarmyam agataha sarvapino pajayante palayena vyatanti cha By becoming fixed in this knowledge, one can attain to the transcendental nature like my own. Thus established, one is not born at the time of creation or disturbed at the time of dissolution. So, Srila Prabhupada writes, after acquiring perfect transcendental knowledge, one acquires qualitative equality with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we are equal in quality, Satchidananda, then we realize it. So even after liberation, the devotees do not lose their individual identities. That's confirmed by this verse. Knowledge which is not contaminated by the three modes of nature is called transcendental knowledge. As soon as one is situated in the transcendental knowledge, is on the same platform as the Supreme Person. That's the uniqueness on transcendental knowledge. It's not contaminated by the modes. All other knowledge is. Just as there is material variegatedness in this world, in the spiritual world, there is also variegatedness. At the end, to obtain such knowledge, one must develop all spiritual qualities. One who does develop spiritual qualities is not affected either by the creation or by the destruction of the material world. So, to obtain such knowledge, one must develop spiritual qualities. Means this transcendental knowledge must be realized. From Jnana to Vijnana. When it comes Vijnana, then you obtain it. You realize it and you never lose it. That's an important point explained here. That if we go back to our slides, and then we have the next verse. Yeah. By being situated in transcendental knowledge and developing spiritual qualities, one can attain a spiritual form equal in quality with Krishna. Yes, a spiritual form equal in quality with Krishna. If our heart is pure, then we are situated in a pure transcendental platform. Because the consciousness of the spirit soul is by nature pure, but it is contaminated. You have to remove the contamination. This knowledge helps us in removing this contamination. So important that is ignorant people think liberation means to lose one's identity and merge in the spiritual sky, with which they think is formless and without variegatedness. Actually, spiritual variety is a source of all variety we experience in this world. All liberated souls in the spiritual world always look at the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, being eternally engaged in his loving service. Very nice. Now we can go to verse 3. Mahamajoni Mahat Brahma Tasvim Karvim Dadamyaham Sambhava Sarva Bhutanam Tattva Bharata. The total material substance called Brahman is the source of birth, and it is that Brahman that I impregnate, making possible the births of all living entities, O son of Bharat. So that process of creation is described in the third canto and the fourth canto of the Bhagavatam. Karanodakashaya Vishnu, an expansion of Krishna who lies on the Karana ocean, the spiritual ocean, is in Yoga Nidra, mystic slumber. And he places by his glance in material nature first, the three modes of nature unmanifested. So that's the material nature, which is eternal. And then by his glance, he impregnates the living entities which were in his body since previous creation. All the souls, conditioned souls, are injected. And they have material desires, and by these material desires, the equilibrium in the three modes unmanifested starts to move. And that's the pradhan becomes prakriti. It's detailed, explained. That in the Bhakti Baba course, we spent a few months studying that. So I cannot just summarize that in a few words. That's this creation, but it's here explained in the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna impregnates by his glance, and all the living entities are injected in material nature. So, in the purport, everything that takes place is due to the combination of Kshetra and Kshetrajya, the body and the spirit soul. The combination of material nature and the living entity is made possible by the Supreme God himself. Into material nature, the superior nature is mixed by the will of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and therein, so the living entity is mixed. And therefore, all living entities are born of this material nature. And then an analogy is given. It's good you remember that analogy. It's the analogy of the scorpion lays eggs in piles of rice. And sometimes it is said that the scorpion is born out of rice, but the rice is not the cause of the scorpion. Actually, the eggs were laid by the mother. Similarly, material nature is not the cause of the birth of the living entities. The seed is given by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and they only seem to come out as products of material nature. Thus, every living entity, according to his past activities, has a different body created by this material nature, so that the entity can enjoy or suffer according to his past deeds. And these are the stringent laws of material nature. You get the body according to these laws of material nature, according to your past activities, your desires, what you deserve, you get. And it constructs this very precisely. That what a power the Super Soul has. It's incredible if we think, we can even not think of it. It's beyond our understanding yes, the Supreme Lord impregnates the living entity into the Mat Tattva. Thus every living entity receives a different body created by material nature that he can enjoy according to his past deeds. Here's Karnodakasaya, Vishnu, glancing on the material nature, and the material creation comes about. That is verse 3. Now we can go at verse 4. Verse 4. Sarvayanasikantya muktaya sambhavantya ta sambhramatyoni ambicha pratapita. It should be understood that all species of life as son of Kundi are made possible by birth in this material nature, and that I am the seed-giving father. Ambicha pratapita. So, Srila Prabhupada writes, all these appearances are due to the mother, material nature, and Krishna's seed-giving process. The purpose is that the material world is impregnated with living entities who come out in various forms as the time of creation according to their past deeds. So the living entity, what happens to the living entity that, yeah. So the Lord is the Father, and material nature is the mother of all living entities. That's always to remember. There is a quote. We will try to look at its quote. That's the last quote we read today. Any volunteer to read this quote?
I can read the quote.
Please do so, please. Thank you.
This is quote number 4.
Yes, 4. Who is the mother?
Who is the mother? Who is the father? The material nature is compared to the mother. Although every living entity is seen to come out of the mother's body, it is still a fact that the mother is not the ultimate cause of such a birth. The father is the ultimate cause of birth. Without the father's seed, no mother can give birth to a child. Therefore, the living being in the different varieties of forms and positions within the innumerable universe are all born of the seed of the Almighty Father, the personality of God, and only to the man with a poor fund of knowledge do they appear to be born of the material nature. My dear Arjuna, we find so many species of life, 8,400,000. They are all my sons. I am the seed-giving father. Plants, trees, insects, aquatics, demigods, beasts, birds, and all other living entities are sons or parts and parcels of the Supreme Lord. But because they are struggling with different mentalities, they have been given different types of bodies. Mana, Sastri, Sastani, Nani, Driyani, Prakriti, Stani, Karsati. Thus they have become sons of Prakriti, or material nature, which is impregnated by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So the Father is always affectionate to the sons. The sons may forget the Father, but the Father cannot forget the sons. So Krishna comes here out of his love for us to deliver us to give us the right path. Sarva Daman Parityaja. My dear sons, why you are rotting in this miserable world? You come to me. I'll give you all protection. You are the son of the Supreme, so you can enjoy life very supremely, very magnificently, without any death. Why are you rotting? That is Krishna's mercy. Ajo P. San. So Bhagavad Gita, the science of Krishna, is not meant for any particular party or particular nation or particular country. It is meant for everyone, even the animals. We have to learn this science and preach it all over the world so they can be lifted out of ignorance.
Yes.
Lecture.
Thank you. That is Srila Prabhupada's mission, reaching all over the world, even for the animals. Interesting that go to text 5. So yeah, these are the quotes, but I mean, you have to look at verses, text 5. Sattvam radhastamamiti karuna bhakti sambhava nibbodhanti ma bodhe namafyam. Material nature consisting of the 3 modes, goodness, passion, and ignorance, is consisting of the 3 modes, goodness, passion, and ignorance. When the eternal living entity comes in contact with nature, Almighty Armed, he becomes conditioned by this node. So Krishna is introducing these 3 modes here now, and first he's going to tell us how we are conditioned by these modes. So everyone is acting under the spell of the three modes of nature in the material world. And they are induced to act according to the nature they influence them. So this is the cause of a variety of happiness and distress. Happiness and distress in the modes we will hear also, especially in the 18th chapter, happiness in the modes. That's interesting. So, because these modes are described in the 14th chapter, but also the beginning of the 17th chapter and the beginning of the 18th chapter also. Different aspects of these modes of nature are discussed there. We go back to here. That's the living entity. All the transcendental is captivated by these three modes. Yes. And now we will hear first of the mode of goodness. Tatra sattvam nirmalatvat prakashakam manamayam sukha sangeni vatnati jnana sangeni sanakha. O sinless one, the mode of goodness being purer than the others is illuminating, and it frees from all sinful reaction. Those situated in that mode become conditioned by a sense of happiness and knowledge. So you have these three modes that one is happy in goodness, one is very active in passion, another is helpless, ignorance. So the effect of developing the mode of goodness? One becomes wiser than the others, that it's not so affected by material miseries. And he has a sense how to advance in material knowledge. In the mode of goodness, one is more or less free from sinful reactions. The mode of goodness means we have greater knowledge, greater happiness. But what's the difficulty with that mode? One becomes conditioned by it. One thinks, oh, I have knowledge, now I'm better than the other. And the examples of that are scientists and philosophers. Yeah. So, yes, due to illusion of the material energy, one thinks this life is pleasant. That go to the slides. And here is a mode of goodness. The Brahman is supposed to be in the mode of goodness. That the mode of goodness conditions one to happiness, which gives a sense of satisfaction and knowledge, which makes one feel superior to others. One thinks everything is all right, and one does not make endeavor to get out of these modes. I'm happy. But that's an illusion, because there is always birth, death, old age, and disease. It never happens. And that, so that was verse 6. So, because this is a nectar of devotion, it's said there, persons who are not inclined to clean the dust from their hearts and want to keep things as they are, it's not possible to derive the transcendental result from the chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. So even if you are in goodness and you think everything is all right, you cannot make spiritual advancements. It blocks your advancement. That's interesting information that we have here. Now we go to text 7. Text 7. Text 7 speaks about Rajas Tama. Rajas, the mode of passion. Rajararatmakam vidi Krishna Sangha Samudbhavam Tannibatnati Kantya Karma Sangena Dainam mode of passion is born of unlimited desires and longings, O son of Kunti. And because of this, the embodied living entity is bound to material fruitive actions. So that's in the mode of passion, one is full of lust. And we have heard about lust, duspurna and alenacha. It's never satisfied. So these people are never satisfied. They only want more and more. And it's characterized by the attraction between man and woman. When the mode of passion increases, hankering for material enjoyment develops and develops, hankering grows for sense gratification. A man in the mode of passion, what does he want? Also subtle things. He wants honor, prestige. That these are products of the mode of passion. That so if one wants these things in material world, these hankerings, and fulfill them, one has to work very hard. But it's all for nothing. You have soon to die. So the whole material world is more or less in this mode of passion dominantly. It's now also going very quickly to ignorance. That we have here, yes. This is 7. We went to the essence of the purport. Now, slide. The mode of passion. So it's the 3 modes are there on top. Durga. Maybe were 3 modes. The red one is a mode of passion. So the mode of passion is symptomized by the attraction between men and women and women, and binds one to material fruitive actions. Modern civilization is considered to be advanced in the mode of passion, whereas previously the standard of advancement was the mode of goodness. That, yes. Text 8. Tamastvajana viti mohanam sarvadenam pramadalasya nitrabis tannimatnati bharata. The son of Bharat know that the mode of darkness born of ignorance is the delusion of all embodied living entities. The result of this modes are madness, indolence, and sleep, which bind the conditioned souls. So the mode of ignorance is just the opposite of the mode of goodness. A madman cannot understand what is what. Instead of making advancement, they become degraded. They are under the spell of ignorance. When those who are under the spell of ignorance, they become degraded. They cannot understand things as it is. So Prabhupada gives the example, like everyone can see his grandfather has died, therefore he will also die, so that is sure. But people are madly accumulating money and working very hard, not caring for the eternal spirit. They are reluctant to make advancement in spiritual advancement. They are lazy. That when they are invited to hear about spiritual and spiritual topics, they are not interested. They sleep more than required, at least 12 hours a day. Always dejected, full of intoxicants. That's the mode of ignorance, madness, indolence, and sleep. Madness, indolence, and sleep. We see here. And now we have the last verse today. That text 9. Sattvam sukha jayati hacha karmani bharata jnanam avitatuta tama pamade sanyayat yuta. O son of Bharat, the mode of goodness conditions one to happiness. passion conditions one's to fruitive action, and ignorance covering one's knowledge binds one to madness. So goodness, I'm happy, everything is okay. Passion, working to get sense gratification. Ignorance, sleeping, intoxication, madness. That is what Krishna tells us here. That, yes, that. So, this chapter, Krishna said, summary, will describe the best of knowledge. That, and Krishna says the best knowledge. Baldev Vidyabhushan explains, this knowledge deals with the modes of nature, and it's the best knowledge about Prakriti and Jiva. That, so we have heard that Srila Prabhupada invites us to engage ourselves in philosophical speculation, thinking about things in terms of Guru, Sada, and Shastra. That, yeah. The mode of passion, sometimes we think, yeah, that we think about culture, music, and that's considered in the mode of goodness, but mostly that represents passion, or lower even. That, anyway, any questions, comments, realizations? That there's a whole journey to the 13th chapter up to the 14th, and we enter into the modes, just the beginning. That,
no, Maharaj, you have to go through again. So,
yeah, I've recorded it, and if Krishna willing, I will post the recording. You can hear it again and again. It's a good practice.
yes,
You hear it again
okay.
and again, it will go deeper. I try to present all important points in the purport. Everything should be there.
Yeah.
That, good. Then, if Krishna willing,
Thank you, Maharaj.
we see it. So the next week, we will finish chapter 14 and begin chapter 15. The first section of 15 also. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Hare
Thank you.
Krishna. Jai
Hare
Prabhupada.
Krishna. Jai
Hare
Prabhupada. Thank you, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Hare
Maharaj.
Krishna.